When I gave birth to my son, I swore I would give him everything: love, education, and a good home. His father died when he was 10, and I worked day and night to make sure he never felt the emptiness of loss or hunger. I sacrificed my dreams so he could chase his. But as he grew older, something inside him changed. The sweet boy who once hugged me after school became a cold man who barely looked at me. After he got married, it only grew worse. His wife, Aisha, didn't like me living with them. She would whisper things to him when she thought I wasn't listening, complain that I was old-fashioned or in the way. I pretended not to hear, but every word cut like glass. My son, Amir, started agreeing with her. He began snapping at me over small things: if dinner wasn't ready on time, if I used too much electricity, or if I talked during their TV shows. One evening, Aisha complained that I had accidentally broken her vase. It was a cheap decoration, but she acted like I had destroyed a family treasure. Amir stormed into my room, red with anger. "Why can't you just stay out of our things?" he shouted. I apologized softly, but that didn't stop him. He slapped me once, then again, and again, 20 times before my trembling knees gave out. His wife stood in the doorway, smiling faintly as if she'd won some kind of battle. When it was over, I sat on the floor, my face burning, my heart empty. I didn't cry. Something inside me had died. That night, while they slept, I looked at the house, my house. Every wall, every brick had been paid for by my years of labor. The house was still in my name. I realized something: they might have broken my heart, but they couldn't take my dignity unless I let them. The next morning, I quietly went to my lawyer. I explained that I wanted to sell my property immediately. He was surprised but did everything quickly since all the papers were already in my name. Within a week, the house was sold, and the money transferred to my account. I rented a small apartment near the edge of town, modest but peaceful. On the day Amir left for work, I packed my things. I left behind only a note on the kitchen table that said, "A home built by love cannot stand on cruelty. I hope you both find somewhere that suits your hearts." Then I handed the keys to the new owners, a kind couple who promised to take good care of the place. When Amir came home that evening, the scene must have been chaos. His wife's jewelry, furniture, and clothes, everything, was still inside, but they no longer owned the house. The new couple told them politely that they had bought the property legally and that my son and his wife had to leave immediately. Neighbors later told me they screamed and begged, but there was nothing they could do. That night, Amir called me dozens of times. I didn't answer. When I finally picked up the next morning, his voice was broken. "Mom, where are we supposed to go?" he asked. I simply said, "The same way I started, with nothing but willpower. You'll manage." And I hung up. It wasn't revenge. It was justice. Days turned into weeks. My bruises healed, but the scar in my heart remained. Sometimes, I caught myself missing him, the little boy who once held my hand to cross the street. But then I'd remember his hand raised against me, and I knew I had done what was right. Love doesn't mean letting people destroy you. One afternoon, there was a knock at my door. It was Amir, looking thinner, tired, and ashamed. He didn't speak for a while. Finally, he whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom." I looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. There was pain there, and regret, too. I invited him in, made tea, and we sat in silence. He told me he and Aisha had separated. "She left when the money ran out," he said bitterly. I didn't gloat or scold him. I just said, life has a way of teaching lessons we ignore. We talked for hours, about his childhood, about his father, about mistakes. For the first time in years, he listened. In the months that followed, Amir visited often. Slowly, our bond began to heal. I didn't give him money or a home, only advice. I wanted him to rebuild himself from the inside. And he did. He found a job, started renting a small flat, and even began volunteering at a local shelter. Sometimes he still cries when he talks about that day. I do too. But I tell him, what matters is not how many times you fall, but how you rise after realizing who you hurt. That house was never just a building, it was a test. And though it took losing everything, my son finally found his heart again. Now, when he hugs me, I feel the warmth I thought I'd lost forever. And I pray that no mother ever has to teach her child love through pain, but if she must, may she have the strength to walk away, just as I did.